Hey everyone, let's have fun and draw in my mini sketchbook. Even though I haven't drawn in here in a pretty long time, there's still a significant amount of pages done in here, so let's just keep it going with using these markers. I've been almost exclusively only using these markers to draw in here, and I'm having a blast, so let's have fun and do that today. So as you can tell from the title, we're going to talk about bad art today, and this video didn't start out that way. I didn't intend to draw badly and then talk about drawing bad art. I actually was just gonna film a chill drawing chat and just see what happens, narrate my drawings like how I usually do with my sketchbook videos. And while I do like this first page, it was a great fun little idea. I mean, I am drawing a sandwich, but I did end up adding some cute little elements to it, as you'll see in a few moments. But my initial idea was to do a normal voiceover, and once I kept drawing, I realized I didn't really like most of the drawings that I did for this video. So I was like, why don't I change this to something kind of like a lesson where I just make a point that why making bad art is completely fine and you should do it more often. Not on purpose, but just how to be okay with not having a good drawing. I'm definitely the kind of person that sets a very high standard for themselves because I know how great of a thing I can do or create. So whenever I make a drawing that didn't exceed those expectations, I do definitely feel very disappointed in myself and upset because come on, Arlise, you know how to do it better. Why isn't this drawing very good? Well, that's a whole separate video on why your drawings might not be good, because there's so many factors to try to figure out what the problem is, and so it's always hard to determine that because it could be something that you haven't even figured out in yourself yet. But one of the things we can do is just learn how to be okay with not having a good drawing every single time. I mean, that's probably a reason why I have multiple sketchbooks, so that one is better than the other. I definitely was feeling that this particular smaller sketchbook was a lot better than my previous smaller sketchbooks so far, and so I did feel really disappointed when these couple of pages didn't match the first 50 pages. So even though I do really love this page, it's so fun, I added some really fun little things to it. I think the color schemes are great, and I also added some characters from We Love Katamari. I've been playing it a lot, and you'll be seeing some more drawings of that later on. I always try to make it better with stars, even if the drawing isn't good. Stars can kind of help you forget that, but not all the time. So let's actually dive into that. This is the page that I was like, oh no, this drawing isn't going very well. I wanted to start drawing some more portraits in here because there's a lot of portraits in this sketchbook, and I draw them really well. I figured out a really fun way to draw them by using lots of different colors or lots of similar colors. And when this one wasn't going very well with the proportions, and it just wasn't happy with how it looked, I actually really wanted to give up and stop filming and do something else and try to figure out what else to do. But then I changed the mindset, and I came up with something that could be a teachable moment here. So I decided to push through and keep going, and with how I usually draw my portraits in here, I do a first sketchy startup color that's lighter that I can sort of hide by using a darker color on top to do some more details and some line art. So that's what I did here, and I just decided to grab orange. And I realized that this is just a warm-up drawing. These are warm-up drawings to the ultimate final really good drawing, or a good painting on a separate paper or on a separate canvas. You definitely need a separate place to have a place where you don't mind there being a bunch of bad drawings. You need a place to be able to express your creativity and just get all those ideas out. And once I realized that that first portrait drawing was a warm-up, I was like, I can do a better one right next to this. And one of the great things about drawing a bunch of things not so greatly multiple times is that you can see the progress as you're doing it. And I'll talk a bit about that later. But I followed the same techniques that I usually do, where I'm basically just drawing freehand and just looking at the elements of a person's face and just trying to figure out how to draw that. Then I wanted to match that first drawing, so I did orange and green again, except I flipped it where the orange was the sketch color and the green was the outline color. And right away I could see that this drawing was coming up better even before I did the outline to add that final touch. So I could really tell that that first warm-up really helped a lot. It was really beneficial to this next drawing, and I enjoyed drawing it more. And then I finished it off with another simple starry background. And since I had a lot of fun drawing the little characters from We Love Katamari in that first drawing, I just decided to keep on going with that theme. And if you don't know about the game, I am playing the remastered version. There's so many different versions of the Katamari games. Basically, the Katamari is the ball you have, and you play as this little prince who has to roll up objects using the Katamari. And it is kind of a silly game. It is super fun, and it's so easy to get lost in it because it's just really fun to roll up objects for some reason, and it's just really satisfying as well. And with this drawing, I realized that I had a lot more confidence to do a bit more of an ambitious drawing. There's a lot of objects here and a couple of details, and so I felt a lot more confident to just like draw cooler things. I really love the sandwich drawing, and I really love that second portrait that I did. First portrait that I did wasn't that great, but when I tried again, I started to feel a lot more confident in my work, and I just wanted to keep going and keep that momentum going. So that is basically what I did here, which is like essentially just trying again and, you know, keep moving forward. And sometimes pencil can also help you with that. I know I've been doing a lot of drawings freehand, just like not using it really a sketch. I think I moved towards using pencils to just get that little bit more of a confidence in there, so I actually have a good sketch that I can see underneath the little outline that I plan to do. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't intend to make a bunch of bad drawings and talk about making bad art. Here's how you can be okay with making bad art. Firstly, you can't expect every drawing you do to be amazing. You just can't. Like many skills, art takes a lot of practice, and it just takes a lot of learning, and it just takes a lot of time and a lot of trial and error. And something that I learned in art school was to make 100 thumbnails before you start something, also known as making a bunch of small drawings before you create the final thing. And you basically just like pick the best one, make it bigger, and you know, that's your thing. And that really frustrated me at the time because I didn't find it necessary to make so many little drawings, even though I would like the first one I do anyway. So I did what I had to do to satisfy the professor and get the credit for the assignment, and then I pick one of the first 4 thumbnails that I knew I would achieve, and I got over that frustration when I realized that I should have been doing that with my digital work, because whenever I work on digital drawings, I restart so many times, and there's so many like weird sketches in the beginning that I could have just like drawn some little ideas somewhere else, or even on a sketchbook or on a separate canvas on Procreate, and just pick the best idea from there. And eventually you find your groove doing that. Sometimes making a few quick / bad drawings can also give you that drive to keep drawing, because you want to redo that bad drawing, or you just want to make it better. And yeah, there are some times where doing that can make you really upset. You're like, oh, I did terribly, I don't want to draw anymore. That's absolutely happened to me many times before. But if you just keep going and, you know, just don't give up, you will get there. Because once you have a page full of all these like silly little drawings, you can see growth in there. Especially in that situation with that portrait that wasn't that great, the next one was better, and you can literally see them next to each other. That one is definitely better than the other, and I will always remember that that right one was the first one because it's not as great. That's why when you follow tutorials or read drawing books or even hear from great artists, they always say the same things. Keep practicing. And you're not going to get good at drawing hands and faces or eyes just from drawing one. You need to draw so many more. And lastly, it can just be fun to draw badly. Not intentionally badly, but you can learn to be okay with not drawing so well, and it can just be really fun to draw silly and simple. I definitely had a lot of fun drawing my favorite characters in the game, even though the drawings weren't that perfect. It's just the quickest way to just get in the mood and start drawing. Just be silly with it and have fun. And my point isn't to make bad art on purpose. I really want to make that clear, because that's not how this video started. I didn't make bad art on purpose and wanted to talk about bad art. I did by accident, and I wanted to, you know, share how you can change that bad feeling. I just wanted to draw my sketchbook, and then I wasn't happy with the drawings, and I realized I can switch this up. So here I am telling you that it's completely fine to make artwork that you're not happy with. Maybe the 4th or 5th drawings you do after that first bad one will be better, and eventually you will exceed your expectations and you'll wow yourself, because I always do. My most recent sketchbook, I love a lot of the pages, but I had to go back to a lot of the ones in the beginning that I didn't like to make it better. That's also a great thing I like to implement in my artwork as well. So I hope you go out there and keep drawing, even if it's bad, even if you don't like it. Just don't give up, because I never stopped drawing ever since I was a little kid. So just make sure to keep going, keep trying, and keep drawing. Don't give up. So here are our final drawing reveals. I really like this page. I love the color scheme, and I think the little princes are really cute. These portraits definitely were warm-up drawings, and these last two were also really silly and fun. Some more We Love Katamari inspired drawings with a prince and a Katamari full of lots of objects, and then finally a bunch of my favorite cousins holding hands. Just had a lot of fun drawing today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time, everybody. Goodbye!